Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very wonderful day today, the 12th day of September 2023, and it's 20 degrees and sunny right here in Brisbane. As I mentioned even yesterday, that this is the best time of the year. Neither too cold, not too hot. It's just beautiful and just amazing. Well, let's get on with the news for today. Anastasia Palaszczuk is absolutely determined to lead Labor into the next election. Here's that news.
Touching down after a fortnight of political turbulence.
Will you be staying on as the leader, Premier?
Absolutely. On her first day back after 2 weeks overseas, Anastasia Palaszczuk was determined to put to bed leadership murmurings.
I feel refreshed, I feel energised, and I'm absolutely determined to lead the party and this government to the next election. I just want to make that very clear to everybody. I'm absolutely determined.
The third-term Premier insists she's still the best person for the job, eager to shut down rumblings of internal dissatisfaction from Labor colleagues.
Well, not one person said that to me.
But she conceded recent weeks haven't been easy, revealing she suffered a medical episode at the State Labor conference in June.
I was rushed to emergency. I spent about 5 or 6 hours in the Mackay Hospital. I've had some tests following and everything's fine now.
And a testing time as controversial changes to youth justice laws were rushed through in Parliament's last sitting week.
There was a lot going on and, it's my job to explain things better to the caucus and better to Queenslanders.
With 13 months to go, she's brushed aside poor polling results.
The Labor Party, as I said, we haven't even kicked into first gear.
The Premier admitted that her Labor government has not even moved out of neutral.
With a potentially dangerous fire season ahead, the Premier defended her break as her last opportunity before going to the polls and taking this swipe.
Politics needs good people, not selfish people, not ruthless people, not ambitious people. They need good, decent people.
Perhaps not just aimed at the opposition, but any agitators within her own ranks.
Good people is what's needed in politics. Well said, Premier. Well, there you go. You heard it from the Premier herself. That she is quite determined to lead Labor into the next election. All right, now let's go to Canberra, where landowners are facing chance to build second dwellings on their property.
When Julie Hamilton moved house, she didn't have far to go, making way for younger family members.
I wanted to stay in a place where I could have my garden. I know lots of people around this area because my kids went to the local schools and played in the local sports clubs, etc. So I started to think about whether I could convert my old double garage.
It's the sort of thinking the government wants to encourage.
And we're endeavouring to strike the balance here in increasing housing supply in existing suburbs, doing so in a way that will provide for a different type of modest dwelling.
Under the proposed new territory plan, owners of residential Zone 1 blocks over 800 square metres will be able to build a second dwelling of up to 120 square metres in size and seek a unit title for that home. Around 45,000 blocks around the ACT will be eligible, including more than 14,000 in Tuggeranong, 11,000 in Belconnen and thousands more in central Canberra, Woden Valley, Western Creek and Gungahlin, along with a handful in the Molonglo Valley.
Our infrastructure around these older suburbs is quite good. The road infrastructure, the connections are quite good. They allow for gentle density growth.
There'll be a streamlined development application process, but some argue that system needs to be better consolidated.
It's a very laborious process to deal with Icon Water, Evo Energy, Transport Canberra, tree departments, etc. and so forth, and it does push out those timelines.
During the COVID area, we put some more funding into the DA approval team to ensure we could get some speed up on DAs, and they did pick up quite well, so we're very pleased with the outcome there.
There are blocks out there in Belconnen even, 1,700 square metres. Why limit that owner to a 120 square metre granny flat?
The opposition has accused the government of a lack of ambition, though the overall intent does seem to have broad support.
The very people that actually build the city need to be able to afford homes, and a mix of housing, single level like this, they need that, and that's what they want.
Once people see it in action, they really like the idea.
Once passed by the Legislative Assembly, the changes are expected to take effect in late November. Harry Frost, ABC News.
There you are, and these were the kind of things that we could not see happening before, but now that it's the call of the time where housing crisis is facing, so allowing that to happen there just makes sense. Right now, let's go to Central Australia, where the second commercial garlic harvest is taking place.
Central Australia's second commercial garlic crop is being harvested at Centre Farm near Ali Karang, 350 kilometres north of Alice Springs.
This is Owen.
And I got the bigger. The horticulture farm has been trialling garlic for the past 4 years, and now it will be sold to supermarkets around Australia.
This pick, hopefully we can get anything up to 30 tonne.
Due to the warmer climate in Central Australia, garlic can be planted and harvested a lot earlier than in New South Wales and Victoria.
There's no one else in Australia harvesting garlic as early as August, September in Australia. This is just incredible.
It means shoppers can buy Australian garlic for longer. But that's not the only exciting thing about this project. Centre Farm trains and employs local Aboriginal people, giving them a sense of pride and purpose. Its multi-generational approach aims to break the cycle of poverty and disadvantage.
I want those young people to have an aspiration to take over.
Kira, you'd be good at it.
Someone's got to do his job one day. And jump in the size 12 boots that I wear and follow my footsteps for their children and then their grandchildren.
And why not? What a great story there. Garlic is so much needed. And with that favourable weather conditions, why not? Right now for our next news, where Labor and Greens settled the housing debate without complaint.
It was a promise from Anthony Albanese that helped him win the nation's top job. But its passage through Parliament was like hitting rock, stalled in the Senate by the Coalition and the Greens. But now a deal. The key?
An additional $1 billion that will be spent this year directly on public and community housing.
This will change housing in Australia. It will benefit so many Australians.
The Housing Australia Future Fund, or HAF, is the government's $10 billion promise to build 30,000 new homes in its first 5 years. Today's extra $1 billion is on top of that and is the latest in the government's multi-billion-dollar housing cash splash. Acknowledgement the crisis needs fixing. The Minister says the solution is supply.
Whether they're trying to buy a home, rent a home, or whether they have a mortgage, is more supply of homes.
But the opposition remains opposed, saying it cannot guarantee and will not deliver a single home before the next election, and it will only see Australia's housing crisis worsen with added inflationary pressures. Despite the delay and added cost, this deal is a win for the Albanese government, capping off the last of its big-ticket election items and proving once again it has a Senate crossbench it can work with. As for the Greens, they've lost their argument for a national rent freeze, but have vowed to keep campaigning, convinced it's politically popular with voters.
Politically popular with the voters and voting, and the voters do count. Well, right now, let's go to South Australia, where the health department seizes nearly 5,000 vapes.
The result of an 8-week blitz targeting stores selling illegal vapes.
Unfortunately, we've seized almost 5,000 vapes through that process over the past 8 weeks. And of those, over 4,500 have come back from the laboratory saying that they contain nicotine.
SA's health authorities launched the operation amid rising concern over the prevalence of vapes containing nicotine, with fears a growing number of young people are becoming addicted.
Well, it looks like a sipper cup, isn't it? If you're a 2-year-old, I mean, you just start sipping it.
Of the nearly 5,000 vapes seized as part of the blitz, more than 90% were found to contain nicotine. And in one case, the amount was potentially life-threatening.
There was one vape, so one cartridge, which was equivalent to 3 packets of cigarettes.
All up, 15 South Australian businesses have been found to be selling illegal nicotine vapes, and authorities are warning they'll be continuing to look for traders doing the wrong thing.
It's not over. Those licence conditions remain in force, and businesses need to comply with them on an ongoing basis.
South Australian retailers are now required to show proof their products do not contain nicotine. National authorities are also working to ban the importation of non-prescription vapes. Gladys Surugup, ABC News, Adelaide.
Just ban the vapes completely, just stop that. I mean, look at it's growing and young ones are getting addicted to that. I mean, if it was not available, it wouldn't just not happen. Well, right now, moving on, snake season has become and it's already become deadly.
Australia's snake season has only just begun and it's already turned deadly. This is an eastern brown snake, a highly venomous species believed to be responsible for the death of a man in North Queensland on Saturday night. The 69-year-old was bitten while trying to help a friend. Reporter Lillian Watkins explains how the death unfolded.
A man in his 60s was attending Kamala State High School's 100-year anniversary on Saturday night. Paramedics have told us he was there with his 65-year-old friend. It was during the course of the evening that a snake had managed to coil itself around his friend's leg. The man tried to help uncoil it and was subsequently bitten in the arm and chest. He went into a cardiac arrest and paramedics tried to resuscitate him for about 30 minutes but were unsuccessful. We've heard yesterday from Dr. Claire Bartonshaw from the Queensland Ambulance Service that while it's really difficult to ascertain exactly what kind of snake it was, she says that the symptoms at this stage are pointing to the eastern brown, a highly venomous and highly aggressive snake. About 1 to 2 people die from snake bites each year, and most often it is these brown snakes that are the culprit. Kamala itself is still reeling from the news. They are an incredibly tight-knit and passionate community. We've seen already on social media streams of condolences coming through. We've also heard that many people have called this man a hero. The man he tried to save was actually released yesterday from Mackay Base Hospital and is expected to make a full recovery.
Snakes are generally most active between September and April. Authorities are warning they could be more active this year due to hot and dry conditions. Medical experts are urging people to avoid handling snakes and learn how to deal with a bite.
So we've got good antidote if you do get bitten. But the best thing for us to do is to remain calm. And I know it's really difficult. Don't put yourself into danger because, you've got these animals that are potentially a little bit angry and don't put yourself in an environment where you or are going to be bitten. Call 000 and lie as still as you can. And if you've got a compression bandage, an elastic compression bandage, put that on the limb that you've been bitten on, and you put it on as tight as you would if you had a sprained ankle, and that will slow down the absorption of the venom.
Yes, easily said than done, because under the circumstances and in those conditions, people just make the move, whatever comes to mind at that spare of the moment. They don't think, oh, what was said, what should I do? It just acts on instinct. Well, right now, here's some wine to finish down today's segment, and liters of it. Not in the right place, though. So liters and liters of wine down this fruits and spreads way a big storage tank broke loose. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you in this segment. Let's take a look at some functions and events before we finish off for this segment. And that's about all we have for you this segment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this segment. As I mentioned before, it's just such a beautiful day out there, still remaining around 20 degrees and sunny for most of today. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us.